as of about a month ago, we start looking at them and going, wait a second, what's going on here? This doesn't add up at all. Like, not that we were not finding major profit margins. We weren't finding any.
All right, here we go. We've got Dejan Kovacevic joining us for the first time on the show. Hopefully I nailed the pronunciation, but he'll tell me in a moment. He writes for DK Pittsburgh Sports. And Dejan, great to have you on the show, first of all. We're very excited to dive into this article. You did an insane amount of homework on the finances of the Pirates. So how are you, and do you feel like you're capable of running this team now?
I appreciate that. A couple of things to say first. Hello to a couple of former Buccos over there. Don't think we don't remember who it is that we cover over the years. And the other is, I couldn't agree more strongly about opening day in Cincinnati. I actually tell the writers on my staff, the only time you ever capitalize opening day, the O and the D, is when you're in Cincinnati, because it's the only place where it's an actual holiday. It's an amazing scene going up through downtown Cincinnati into Fountain Square and all that stuff. Just beautiful what it is that they do. Kids get the day off, school. There's nothing like it. You guys are going to absolutely love it. I know I'm preaching to the choir, especially with Todd there on that one, since he lived through it many years. There's just nothing like it. Am I ready to run the team? No. But I can tell you that we went into this process 5 months ago looking to try to figure out, basically, everybody's been accusing Bob Nutting and the ownership for years, myself included, of, profiteering, of taking money and just, running off to the hills with it, or in his case, where his ski lifts are, to the east of Pittsburgh. And so, we go into it, we're digging, we're finding these numbers, and as of about a month ago, we start looking at them and going, wait a second, what's going on here? This doesn't add up at all. Like, not that we were not finding major profit margins. We weren't finding any. And so finally, the way these things go is you go to the team last. You go to whoever it is that you're investigating last. And we go to the Pirates and like, you're losing money, aren't you? Well, ... Okay, so you're like, well, wait a second. No, you're losing money. We've heard that you've taken not one, not two, but 3 loans through MLB's. MLB has a kind of a credit union. You guys probably are aware of it, that came out of the COVID period. And there's still some teams in it. The Braves just lost $44 million. At least, that's what they put on paper. So, are you in this? Are you... ... And because I don't think they wanted, they were actually more embarrassed, if that's the right word for it, by having any losses at all than they were, when people were telling them that they were making a $50-60 million profit. So that was what we put out to everybody yesterday and to the fan base. I got to tell you, I'm surprised. The reaction has been mostly, oh, really? Gee, maybe we ought to think about this all over again. So it's been a strange 48 hours in that regard. There's obviously some people that aren't going to believe it, because it's hard, especially in the current social climate, for anybody to ever admit that they're wrong about anything. But that's kind of what's happened here. And how does it happen? There's a lot of specifics to that. There's a lot of intricate stuff. But I'll tell you what, the story's been out for 48 hours, and there's nobody down here at 115 Federal Street on the North Shore that's denying it or rejecting it, and they can't, because they already confirmed it for us.
You said the Braves lost money. Did you mean the Rays? Just before we get on to the rest of the Pirates, because the Braves are a publicly traded company, and I thought it showed.
I've got it. 40 mil profit for 2024.
Yeah, 40 mil profit.
All right, then I have that backward in my head here. The other thing about the Braves, you're right, Eric, publicly traded company. But what happens with the Braves is they also have, you guys have been there, that whole Battery Park or whatever, everything that's around the stadium is all part of their books and part of everything else. So it gets kind of confusing with that stuff. But yeah, I saw a set of brackets instead of a minus.
Yeah. No. Anyway, so let's get back to the Pirates. Does this make them look inept? Does this make them look like they can't run a team? Like, because they lost a few $1 million? Or are they – because it'll kind of get to my next question after you answer this one.
Well, it does, I think. This is just me now. in the sense that here's how I see this. The skies opened here above Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The angels played their harps. The choirs began singing. And Paul Skenes was bequeathed to our city. All right? I don't think they did anything right to get Skenes. I think 30 out of 30 general managers draft Skenes. And you can't make money. Like, you can't build up your season ticket base. You can't get your ballpark even to sell out when Skenes is pitching. Look over the individual numbers for their attendance figures in 2024. Sorry. We heard from people who were coming to Pittsburgh from other cities, sometimes from Canada, just to see him pitch. This should be treated here in our city like a rock concert when he pitches. Now, I know it's not the same because you can't set the date automatically and everything, because you don't know exactly when it's going to be his turn. But people were buying 2-3 games, and you can't sell this out? There's such distrust between you and the public that you can't build up revenues. And Eric, that was the main point that we were making in this and that I made near the end of the piece, which is you have to build that up. You have to build up that positivity between you and your community, something Clint Hurdle used to refer to as rebonding with the city that the Pirates need to do. There's no trust. There's no trust here. The way there is with the Steelers and the Penguins, there's no trust here between the public and the Pirates. And yet they have Skenes. They have to figure this out. They have to start being honest with people. It can't be me going in there and banging down their door to find out what's going on.
Well, it's funny, all this is coming out. Like, you think just a regular fan's like, oh, every team's got to be making money. Like, what, they're making profit. This team, even the worst teams are making profit. Now, my question to you is, they're so in the red, like, is Bob Nutting, like, why wouldn't he try and sell the team if they're not making any money?
That's actually, what's funny, Todd? That's actually been the most common question that we've gotten after this, which has surprised me a little bit because I didn't necessarily see the link. I could get technical and I could say something like, listen, when you buy a team, when a team is bought, one of the things that happens invariably is that whoever buys it buys up all your debt. So you don't really sweat it much. The Celtics sold yesterday for, was it 6.1 billion?
Yeah.
I guarantee you the Celtics aren't walking away with any debt, meaning the people who sold the team. Okay. So on one hand, you don't sweat it much. On the other hand, I'm going to share something here with you guys that's more about Bob Nutting than it is about the Pirates themselves. He wants to see baseball move toward a salary cap system. Okay. He wants to see a system that's similar to what the Steelers and the Penguins enjoy in their leagues, in the NFL and the NHL, which are both tight cap systems and full revenue sharing. By the way, people hear the word salary cap and they get it wrong all the time. A salary cap system has a ceiling and it has a floor. It's automatic. You never have to say it. It also comes with a greatly expanded revenue sharing so that everybody can afford to be in that range, whatever it is. It's usually around 20 or 30 million. It's pretty tight. He wants that. He sees the future, especially if that happens, as being really bright. So, Todd, he's got no interest in getting out of that now when it might just get good. You know what I'm saying? Also, the debt that we're talking about here, by every accounting that we had and what they came back with, is not something that's super serious. It's not where you go, oh no, I got to get rid of this. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely follow what you're saying, and I'm going to come from a player's point of view. You buy a sports team to win championships. You buy a sports team to sell your stinking newspapers, which he's run other newspaper companies into the ground. So if he's profitably losing money for this team, it's pretty much on point from where he's been. And yet somehow Bob Nutting continues to grow out of these companies that he, quote unquote, I read an article, runs into the ground or gets rid of. But he knows the profitable side of this. So to me, you buy a sports team, how are you, like, you're not buying it solely for a monetary gain. You're buying it for the victories in the city, and then all of a sudden, all of Pittsburgh wants to go to Seven Springs on vacation because that's the Pirates connection, which you had mentioned before about his ski slope.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. FT fam, I hope you have as much confidence as Penelope right now, who is an avid Spot and Tango fan, okay? And she uses the code FOUL, Kratz, because this is a personalized dog food subscription service that prevents you, of course, from going to the store to pick up the food, and she just gets the highest quality unkibble. That is what they're known for. And I know you love the quiz part of it too.
It's a super quick quiz, but it lets you give them the information and they tailor it to what is needed based on their age, size, activity level, all things that are custom for each and every one of your dogs.
Yeah, human grade ingredients in that unkibble, USDA meat, fruits, and veggies that are approved there. No artificial stuff, no preservatives. They've got the exclusive deal for the FT fam for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul. It's spotandtango.com/foul, code foul. And now back.
Yeah, I can tell you've been up there.
Yes.
Okay.
And he is very
Just
generous. He's very generous to his players to be able to go there for a weekend on the All-Star break. And anyway, that's a whole nother story of excitement.
That's actually a good one. You need to tell it on the show someday. I'm aware of that
Yes.
one. When you're talking about what it is that he's looking at from that standpoint, the number one criticism that I've had of him, and you guys should know that I did an article last October that called for him to sell the team, just publicly, just get out of here, go away. Okay, the Pirates, the Pittsburgh Baseball Club, the franchise of Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, and Hannes Wagner would be better off without you as the owner. This is 140 years now. We were talking about the Reds and their tradition. The Pirates aren't far from that. Okay, 144th opener next Thursday in Miami for the Pirates. This is a civic institution around here. This isn't some expansion club. And to have a steward who does do exactly what you just said there, Eric, he prioritizes something other than winning. He prioritizes excessive caution. He is risk averse to the extreme. And when you're linking it to his other businesses that you just did, that's the commonality. It's not that they lose money. It's not that they profiteer or anything like that. It's that he's just afraid of his own shadow. And when you have, I'm going to say this again, you sign, which they did to their credit, Brian Reynolds got a big contract. Okay. Mitch Keller got a big contract. Brian Hayes, if he can ever keep that back healthy at third base, he also got a big contract. These guys were all retained. These are young pieces that you want to see teams like the Pirates retaining. They did that, right? Okay. Here comes Skenes. And you know what he does? He messes up the whole vibe. He just does. Skenes puts them in a position where they go, oh, geez, this is different. What do we do with this one? Well, I'm not even talking about signing him. They own his rights for 6 years. You know that, or 5, actually, with the way the arbitration thing goes now. It's that he forces them to think differently. Every year that Skenes is here is a year that you should be pursuing everything, okay? Because you have him here at this crazy bargain rate. Think about what he's going to make on the open market, right? And you should be putting everything that you have into this. He won't. He will spend what he sees in front of him. He won't spend further.
Right, and that's the thing. To win in this game, you need to invest in your product. That has not been done for such a long time. And as I always like to say, it's a smack in the face to your fans. They're not expecting you to do this every single year. But when you tank for a long period of time and you don't reinvest at that time, you are going to pay the price financially. That's the thing that I always find so stupid. You think you're just going to wake up and the money's going to come through? I know you put it in your article how the Phillies are making so much more money at their ballpark than the Pirates. Is their ballpark triple the size of Pittsburgh? Will Pittsburgh not support the team like that? I know it's a different market size, but my point is, if the Pirates had a powerhouse, would they not be making much more money from the gate, concessions, jersey sales, go down the line? The other thing I just wanted to point out is, and I loved your homework, I read every morsel of it, right? I do know there are also little bonuses that come through every once in a while, like the sale of BAM, which got each owner about $50 million. Was that reinvested into the team at the time? No. They could have put that in the bank and freaking had an extra $10 million a year to spend if they had their losses here. So you're right. The risk averse part is what's holding this team back. They haven't rebuilt, an instant like Orioles type of playoff contender either in a division that's not great. So my point is, again, how come they feel like they can operate like this and just wake up and it's all going to be better? Are they waiting for a CBA to change? Because I read your story, and for me, I didn't feel any differently at the end. I felt like, cool, this validates everything for me. If you came out and said, oh, they're losing $50 million, I would have been like, whoa. I got to go back and call my sources and do my homework again. I'm like, they're basically breaking even from the stuff that we know.
The one thing that I think both Todd and Eric, I'm confident, can speak to, and Todd wasn't here for very long, but he played at PNC Park. He played at PNC Park as an opponent as well. And when you see what the Pirates did in 2013 to 2015 in their playoff years, if you remember the unbelievable game that we still call the blackout because Andrew McCutchen wanted everybody to wear black against the Reds, you'll be hard-pressed to mention any baseball scene anywhere in North America over the last 20 years that would top that event, okay? It was a generational thing. You had children bringing their grandfathers who'd never seen the Pirates win, okay? I'm going to say this again. This is 144 years. The Pirates course through this city's veins, okay? There's no amount of losing, even 40 years of this now, that stops that. Neil Huntington, the former GM, once said to me, he said, the whole thing feels like this big sleeping giant here. And so there's no doubt that in one of the smallest ballparks in America that you will see absolute maximizing, but they haven't made that happen. Bob Nutting hasn't made that happen. There's a disconnect, a divide in trust, and there's people that just openly brag about how long they've been boycotting the Pirates. That's a common thing here. Oh yeah, well, I'm in my 7th year. Oh yeah, well, I haven't been there since, Brian Giles hit that home run against Billy Wagner 25 years ago. And it's like that's how these conversations go. That has to change. And the only person who's empowered to do that is Nutting. But I'll ask you guys back, and I actually don't have this answer, so this isn't rhetorical. How does he do that? Because one of the things about him is that he's undercapitalized. Do you guys talk about what he owns? And you're talking about newspapers. This isn't exactly the rising stock in the business world, okay? Where does he get that money from? Does he go and take more loans? Does he say, heck with it, we're just going to go into, all kinds of crazy debt? Or does he do what his actual approach is? And that is he opens up a restaurant and he says, hey, my food kind of sucks right now, but if you come and eat here, oh man, we're going to get the best chef, okay? You guys just have to come and eat here and eat our crappy food more often.
No, that's not going to happen. And I'll tell you, the only way that Bob Nutting brings a championship with his mindset, it would have to be a complete life-changing, life-altering mindset. The only way he brings a championship to Pittsburgh or a consistent winning team, selling. S-E-L-L, sell.
It has to be winning, but it goes even beyond that. It can go into baseball stuff too, which is you have to have a sense of accountability. You have a management team here right now that has done some really awful things, okay? With the major league roster, with the drafts, other than the guys that have been, the ones coming through the clouds, you're not seeing the results that you need to see. They fired their Latin American scouting director after 7 years of absolutely nothing from that part of the world. This is stuff that people never talk about, but this is stuff that, you guys mentioned some of the better teams that get results that don't have as much revenues. Where are they getting that talent from? Look at what happened in Cleveland. Cleveland's no different than Pittsburgh. I think we can agree on that. In a market, stadium, the whole thing, right?
Huntington's there now. We asked him about it about a month ago. We're like, what's different?
Saw it.
And he kind of said
I saw
everything.
It. It was terrific. Yeah, it was a terrific show. Yeah, Neil let it all out, which is not very Neil-like. I saw it. And for, when you look at Cleveland and you look at the guys they're bringing up one after another, Latin American guy, here comes a Dominican, here comes a Venezuelan. You look at the Pirates lineup, you know how many guys they've had come out of Latin America that have made an impact in the last 10 years? I'll give you a hint. He's still playing, and he's really good. Starling Marte.
O'Neal
That's
Cruz? Oh, well, where's Cruz from?
Cruz came from the Dodgers system.
Oh, right. That's true.
I'm talking about guys they got. They traded, the Pirates traded Tony Watson to L.A. for him. Starling came. I actually met him as an 18-year-old down there. I went down there to do a story. Wow, look at this kid. You can tell right away. I mean, he's had the whole athletic build and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it. In 10 years, I was saying again, the franchise of Clemente. You can't walk around anywhere in Latin America without seeing Pirates hats. You guys know that. Am I right?
Dan, I can't, we could keep you on for 3 hours here because there's so much being in the organization and also being part of players union that I saw. You're talking about not building up the DR? They put of that BAM money, they put this huge, beautiful campus down there so they could build Dominican Republic system that would just pump out craters, and they get
zero
players out of it. That's
zero. Not an exaggeration. 0 players from there. Okay, the one who's in the majors right now, other than Marte, I should be respectful here, is Luis Ortiz, who they just he's now in Cleveland as part of that.
They just shipped him out.
Cleveland.
Oh, they
Cleveland,
did?
the pitch.
He'll be an ace this year.
Yeah, because Cleveland wanted a starting pitcher, which they've been elite with producing, starting pitching, and so they're like, oh, well, here's one from the Pirates organization that we could just poach.
Yeah, this is a good point, Dan. We got to jump because we're keeping Kenny Ballgame Rosenthal waiting too. But this was awesome. Really appreciate this, and also the point too is for everyone that's watching and listening right now. You can get the article. You're not paying anything for it. Go online and check out this article and give it a good read. But the last point, we're not asking them to be the Dodgers. We're asking them to be the Guardians. That's what we're really learning here too. Is it's not impossible to do this, and even the Guardians, you can definitely pick at things there too.
Sure.
But the fact that, the Guardians, we say, hey, they should push chips in a little more when they're here, ALCS here. Pirates, we're still in the Stone Age when we're talking about what's happening. So, Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely have you back this season too, okay? This was great.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.